Yo, what is up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you've been doing well. Today we are finally here with the god himself, Goku Black, originally Zamasu. Now this has been a release that I think a lot of people have definitely been anticipating, and with all the details that we got throughout the last few months of what they were upgrading, what they were doing with this figure, I think everybody's hype level went up even more. Now, just to put this out there so people know, unfortunately, not all of the variants are available right now. So right now they have Kong33 and 32. 32 sold out on 5K Toys already, so you've kind of missed your chance to get this particular version. However, the other two variants and the special variant will be available at a later date, sometime February and sometime March potentially, depending on when they get it arrived in their warehouse. They've been doing, I think, shipping through sea, so it typically takes longer, and it's unfortunate, but that's just how they've been doing it. So anticipate that potentially being a little while. But yeah, let's dive deep into this figure. And of course, the first thing I want to talk about is design. Now, I took my time with this figure overall, just because with, I don't want to say knockoffs, but with third parties, you need to play with them a little bit more to get an idea of like just how long lasting they are and the quality overall, in terms of like when I just open an SHF, I kind of know what I'm expecting. With Beast Deities, formerly Kong, it's like 50-50 sometimes, right? Like the Super Saiyan 5s were great figures, how they looked, but when I got them, there was definitely some issues that I wasn't expecting there, considering their prior releases didn't have those issues. But with this Goku Black, I did the same thing. I played with him for the day, took pictures, messed around with him, did head swaps, body swaps, all that stuff. And honestly, my thoughts on this one definitely are a lot higher than some of their other products. But, the design of this guy, just to talk about it, the soft plastic, I am incredibly impressed so far. It is actually really, really soft in terms of its flexibility. And the fact that you can take the straps off on each side and kind of have that look of it, I don't know, like he's taking it off. It's awesome. Of course, there is that problem with it being that thin that it can tear easily, and I've already kind of potentially ripped a piece of it out the socket, and that could have just been me being heavy-handed with it, but that is a possibility if you're messing around with it a lot. So just be wary of that when you're messing around with the plastic, and I'll kind of show that once we get into the kind of the articulation and the breakdown of the figure. Additionally, the mask, they all, for each faceplate, these do come off. So I'm gonna demonstrate that really quick on the faceplate. However, when you take these off, not all of them are sculpted or painted underneath. So, you could have a faceplate with not the mask on it if you wanted to, but you're left with all those holes for the mask to attach back into, and the mouth additionally is not painted. So that's kind of the issue with that, in terms of if you want to have a maskless faceplate. But additionally, and I'll probably put some pictures throughout the video, if not, I'll put like a thing right here, a card, so you guys can go watch the short with all of the different head swaps that I have in my possession. But yeah, I think that's pretty cool that you can use also the prior SSJ5 Rose faceplates on here, but they look really funny because those face sculpts are wider and longer in the forehead area, so they don't really look as good as these ones, I would say. But it's possible, so in case you're wanting that look, you got it. Additionally, let's see, what else can I talk about? Just the sculpting in general. The lining on the shirt, it looks so good. It's crazy how well they did this, and I'm impressed with how far Kong/Beast Deities have come. Like in the time frame that I've started collecting, which was 2022. And to now, everything I've seen and gotten from them, by far it's one of their best products to date. It's not perfect, it does have its own issues, but it's great. And I did see a comment somewhere, I don't remember if it was TikTok, YouTube, or Insta, but they were asking about these armbands. I put my fingernail in there just to kind of see if it was like molded on there, and I feel like it's more so that they glued it down, because this very much does feel like it could come off, but I don't know if it's worth the effort of getting like an X-Acto knife or something and trying to take it off. I would just leave it there personally, but it feels like it can. But other than that, I mean, yeah, it's a pretty great figure overall. Of course, up here there is some gaps, major gaps with the sculpt and the head to the sculpt to the neck. There's a bit of issues there, and actually, since we're here, we can kind of talk about this. But this by far, this neck, I've never seen their necks come out this like easy before. And I'm not sure how to feel about that, because one, in some cases the neck sitting a little higher when you don't put it back in all the way is fine. Like, I like that a little bit, depending on what I'm using it for, like if I have a different sculpt on. But other times, you know, I forget, and you'll see in some of the photos I took on Instagram that the neck looks a little elongated, and it's not supposed to look like that. So, you know, it'll look like that, for example, and it looks a lot longer. So I mean, if you're into that, you can most definitely have that look. But yeah, I mean, besides that, I think we can go and move on into the accessories, which is rather small for this particular one. And if you're wondering, I'm getting my kit sometime this week. They just shipped it out, so expect that video very soon. But yeah, let me pull out the other accessories in the hands and we'll get this going. Alright, so first things first, I just want to show again the SSJ1 bangs, and I prefer the SSJ1 bangs over the SSJ2 personally. I think it just overall looks better. And the hair, obviously, I know it's going to be a 50-50 with people if they like the hair or not, because it's very, I don't know the right word for this, but it's very sharp, edges pointy and stuff like that. If you get what I'm saying, you know, maybe angular is like the right word, but yeah, it's a style that is 50-50 for some people, I feel. But let me put the SSJ2 bangs on now. Alright, here's the Super Saiyan 2 bangs. Again, not my favorite personally, and I mean, they look okay. If you are going to do that Super Saiyan 5 faceplate swap, again, be aware, his forehead is going to look super big. It looks a lot better with the Super Saiyan 1 bangs, as they do cover it up just a little bit. Alright, so just to save a little bit of time so you can quickly kind of get the idea here. So we have two other faceplates which are basically kind of broken off on the eyepiece like this. This one is just looking straight, and the other one is just kind of looking down, kind of the side eye. And the other one that we saw in the beginning of the video, this one is just kind of like glaring, looking at you. You can see that there's a very tiny iris right there. And yeah, that's pretty much it for that. And the last one here, and I'll just show it really quick. This is the mask, mostly broken off. And here's the completed look. Definitely one of the best out of the batch so far. And for those curious, yes, they did include the crocodile head rather last minute in terms of promo shots. And personally, I don't think anybody is really, okay, there are probably a few people who are, you know, really want these, but I think most people just want that simple packaging of just one box, not all these accessories spread out between 3 boxes. And I would agree. I think that they definitely could just do this and just make the box a little bigger, and that way it's easy to, you know, throw it out instead of doing all that stuff. But yeah. And to keep this just a little short and also avoid getting into an issue with the wrist peg, I'm just going to show you the hands in my hand. But here is one of the hands, which is kind of like pointing, that kind of elegant pose he has, I would say. I don't know what the right term you could say for that is, but yeah. There's obviously going to be a masked, or not a masked, a gloved version of each hand as well, that you'll see. Here we have our clapping hands, if you remember from the Toto review, but in essence these are also really just the Keyblade hands. We have a pointing finger hand, which is, it can be used for one of the accessories, the key ball that comes with Kong33. You have to buy that separately, unfortunately, but yeah, that is mostly what it's meant for. You could also use a number of the other key ball effects that Tamashii has given you in various different releases, and I'm pretty sure that they fit just fine. You've got your standard fighting pose hands, semi-open hands, key blast hands, another set of key blast open palm hands, and just to conclude, there's also another pointing hand for his other side, and then another one of those elegant posed hands, I guess. And then of course, I didn't show it, but the other fist hand. Alright, so we've made it to the articulation portion, which is going to be probably the funnest part of this video. So this is Kong's second 3.0 figure, and they definitely have learned a lot of lessons from the first one, because the first one, oh my god, that thing like was so like it's good to pose it, but it just could not hold that hair. It was just way too loose in the torso, the legs, and it really couldn't support itself with that hair. Despite them showing it in promo images or prototype images, I'm sorry, that it could, you know, in hand, it really just could not. It was struggling. You really had to play around with it to get it like that. But now that we're not necessarily getting a whole bunch of Super Saiyan 3s and we're starting to get, you know, normal Super Saiyan 1, Super Saiyan Blue, whatever, these bodies are obviously not going to struggle in that matter. However, they did take strides to improve those. But starting here from the neck, it is again a really wide gap there, but it is on a double ball peg. He can look up pretty decently, and really there's nothing you can do about that gap for the faceplate to the head. Unfortunately, it looks really off. Looking down, there you go. And the neck is actually a lot, and when I say a lot, I mean that's a lot more articulated, I think, than the prior Super Saiyan 3 release. Yeah, let me see if I can, yeah, there you go. That is as far down as he can go, and the faceplate is not falling off yet. If you saw briefly, you can see that the neck, it has a connector piece in there. It's on like a, what is it, hinge? And it's tight, it's not loose, but it's also loose right here, I guess. So it you know, it's up to you how you feel about that. Personally, I think it's interesting. If you looked at the short that I posted last night, you'll see that it does, in fact, hold that hair relatively well for Super Saiyan 5 without like bending back and just falling apart. So I gotta say, it's pretty impressive. But that's his articulation there. Arms, about the same. They do have this plastic here. If you want to scoot it up a little bit, you can do that. And of course you can mess around with it as you please with the arm, but pretty good articulation overall there. The butterfly joint is the butterfly joint is not the best, but you know, it's getting better. They're getting better. You got your bicep swivel, got your double jointed elbow, pretty decent. Then you've got your wrist swivel here, not too bad. A lot better than the SSJ3s again. The peg is not just coming out like at the faintest little touch. Same with the bicep. That was a big issue. It was falling off a lot. However, you pull on this hard enough and the whole peg comes out. This plastic piece included. And it is, you know, in between the peg here. So be wary of that. I've typically just been kind of bending it back a little bit and then grabbing it from right here and then pulling off. That way so it doesn't pull the whole peg out. But that's just something to be cautious of so you're not randomly losing pieces. But yeah, pretty good overall so far for the arms. Butterfly joints, in terms of crossing the arms, is not too bad. It doesn't really pop out as much as I think I would like it to, but it's popping out enough that he can get into a, let's just say, Final Flash pose if you wanted, for whatever reason, right? Let's show the elasticity, oh my gosh, of this gi here. So you can see it's fairly easy to take it off just like that. Again, In the back here, you have to be wary that you're not really tugging on it though. The moment you start tugging on it, you might end up ripping it. When I say it's very thin, it's very thin. This is the kind of, you know, soft plastic I want to see on gis for Tamashii, but that also, again, is also the risk of tearing it. So again, I will say, be very careful if you're going to be doing stuff like this. You might tear it. But I'm only going to take one out just so you can get an idea. And for the articulation here in the torso, it is on a ball peg here at the waist. And the articulation is not too bad. And actually, you can see right there, there is a tear. So yeah, it's happening. It's possible. But that is about as far as I could get him to go. There is a hinge in there, and he's in a ball peg up top. So it's like most standard releases. I do have a custom, what do I call it? Hinge to try with this Goku Black from AFFM Customs. He's working on, you know, trying to see if he can get the Goku SSJ4 height for both Kong as well as official working if you so want that height increase. But I will get back to you when I figure that out because it does require me to do a little bit of tinkering. But yeah, so that's unfortunate, but yeah, you can see there that that is the risk of, you know, moving that constantly. I've done it about 5 times now, 6 including now on camera. Yeah, the skirt is a little bit thicker, so you don't really have to worry about that, and it's not glued down, so if you want to take it off, you could take it off. There you go. This piece, again, it's all glued down here, but once you start, you know, again, moving it around so much, it's gonna unfortunately start tearing. So I would just be risky with that. Very careful. Now, getting to the legs. The skirt does not hinder movement. Got your double jointed knee, not too bad. It's not a squeaky either, but you can hear it is squeaky, but overall, in terms of the body, it's not super duper squeaky. These legs still feel loose. The SSJ5 hair did hold up on the torso, but trying to pose this guy like in a Kamehameha pose, this was infuriating. He kept sliding, his leg kept sliding, and it was just annoying. But again, being that you are using this for potentially just like a regular Super Saiyan Rose, Goku Black, whatever, you won't have that problem, I don't think. It's just when you start putting on a lot of weight on him. So I think that they still could figure something out there, but for the most part, it still works. Ankles, they have improved on them, and I think that comes with the fact that they finally gave enough space here for the ankle to actually move on both sides. It's a lot better. It's probably the same about as Vegito, without it feeling super stiff, if I will. But it definitely is not on the level of like the legendary Super Saiyan Goku that released in November, of 2023. So overall, I mean, this guy is pretty solid for a third-party 3.0 figure. I definitely think if you want it, go for it. I just wouldn't pay right now anything over retail, which is $61, I think. If you see anybody selling it on Mercari, eBay, don't even look at the listing. Like, keep scrolling. I know people would want this, but it's not worth overpaying just to have it 2 to 4 weeks earlier. In my opinion, you're gonna save yourself more money just waiting. And additionally, again, like I said in the beginning of the video, the shipment is on its way. They'll have extra stock to sell of the other variants, which there is another variant just like this, but it has a Super Saiyan 3 hair. So you're really just missing out on this. But in my opinion, I mean, you know, I'm sure you could either buy the demoniacal fit if you wanted this particular look, which that one is only $39.99, and it's a 2.0, unfortunately, but you do get the same accessories pretty much, and you get a base head. So you're getting Super Saiyan 1 and Super Saiyan 2, with one of them having a damaged mask in the eye, similar to this one here, I think. And the other one Yeah, it's just a base head with the full mask, as opposed to having to buy a whole extra pack. So there's the win for demoniacal fit there, if that's what you're looking for. Alright, so I typically don't do this on my reviews just because I'm aware other people already do it all the time, but in terms of a third party, I think there's probably not going to be as many people doing it, and at the same time, it's a conversation that I'm hearing up and down on. So I'm just going to say, personally, it doesn't bother me that he's taller than most figures, just because when you pose them and take pictures, I mean, it really is only going to show if they're standing like right next to each other. If you're putting them in a pose fighting each other or whatever, you're not going to notice it as much. But you can see it here next to these other figures that he is pretty much almost, if not just a little taller with the hair, as tall as the Marvel Legends, which is unusual, right? It's weird. But the thing with scaling is, like, it's never consistent. And I don't know why everybody seems to get so up in arms about it for specific figures when the whole line of Dragon Ball is not consistent. They are not consistent with height. Look at Dr. Gero. Well, that depends on what you read. If you're reading manga or if you're looking at anime, but Dr. Gero and Android 19, for example, very different heights compared to also the Yamcha that's coming out, I believe. So, you know, everybody's got different ideals and stuff when they look at it, but me, it's never been consistent. Everything is different. The scales are different. Heck, when Trunks came out last year, everybody was like, why is he so much taller than all the Gokus? LSSJ Goku came out, okay, he's probably going to be a little bit taller than usual. He's shorter than most of the other Gokus, so, you know, who knows what's going on in the Tamashii room over there for Dragon Ball, but yeah. So, yeah, I say that all to say, yes, Goku Black is taller. It's a third party. I'm not expecting perfection. I'm expecting greatness for what they can do because they have been improving, but I'm not expecting it to be perfect. If you want that scale, I think in terms of it looking better with all of your other SHFs, I think demoniacal fit is the way to go if that's what you're more worried about personally. You know, again, either or is fine. I see people arguing about it in my comments already, but demoniacal fit and Kong Studios Beast Deities, either one is fine to get, right? They both satisfy a specific need for different type of people, and I don't think it's worth arguing about in the comments of which one's better, which one's worse. They're both good in their own right. Demoniacal fit, I will give it to them that they could have made a 3.0, but considering the fact that that render was 2 years old or something like that, to expect anything different, you know, that's kind of your fault as a consumer, because they've never advertised that they were going to make it a 3.0. They just advertised that they were going to finally release it, which they did. It's on its way. If you've seen promo shots, it's coming. I believe next week is when I hear that, or this week in terms of when the video is dropping, but yeah, relatively soon. So with that, I think I'm going to move on, and we're going to just get into the conclusion of this video and send it off. Alright, so we've hit the conclusion, and, you know, to send it off, honestly, I think it's a worthwhile product. You know, I know it's expensive. It's $61. That being, I think if you missed out on the pre-order, they may have not included a price increase this time around that early, but we'll see. But I definitely think it's worth it just for the upgrades in quality alone. In terms of all of their prior releases, you know, they've definitely stepped it up and shown, you know, they can enter this 3.0 space and give us some pretty good figures. And hopefully that continues for Super Dragon Ball Heroes stuff specifically, because a lot of that stuff is just not going to get made officially in any capacity for SHF right now. But I definitely think they are hitting it hard right now. And the problem I know a lot of people have is that there's just so many variants sometimes that you can't get them all. You know, unfortunately, it adds up in price really fast. This being $61, you get the other three, you know, you're well into the 100s, 200 range plus tax and shipping, and depending on where you are, you're already paying a lot in shipping, right? So I totally understand that. So that's why I said, you know, in just the prior segment, it is worthwhile to get the demoniacal fit for a variety of reasons. You know, it's cheaper. It may not come with all of the accessories that all, you know, 4 or 5 variants of Beast Deities has combined, but it definitely comes with enough to keep a person satisfied. a base head, Super Saiyan 1 and 2, bangs, and then, I don't know what, 1 or 2 expressions. Obviously, it's just really the eye. And then, of course, you get a lot of hands and a decently articulated figure, which Demoniacal Fit has the better track record in terms of delivering upon quality with the type of materials used. Usually, I don't have a problem with Demoniacal Fit's products. Their biggest issue is just not commuting with consumers and delivering very, very late on projects that they announce for XYZ year, and then it comes out 2 or 3 years later. You know, that's, I don't think, ever good, especially when you're taking those people's money and leaving them in total confusion. Just like the Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken times 20, I think, Vegito that came out last year. That was on people's pre-order calendar, schedule, whatever, for a long time. And I think that even prior to that, they had their Super Saiyan 3 heads. That just never came out. And I don't know how Omni-Man dealt with that, but it never happened. So that is the alternative. You've got Demoniacal Fit, $39.99, decent accessories. You want something a little bit more, you know, updated, using some of the newer engineering you find in the new 3.0 Dragon Ball figures. Yeah, Beast Deities is the way to go. Of course, you've got about 4 or 5 variants to choose from if you want. And yeah, I mean, genuinely, I think that it's a great product, minus the issues obviously I pointed out already, that being the wrists still, they can pop out with enough force. And I mean, you could say that about any figure, but it is a little bit more prominent with obviously a third-party figure. The gap around the neck being that big for the head, uncommon. Surprised that it happened this time around. Usually it's a little bit tighter in there, but yeah, that is a bit of an issue. Additionally, this figure also works with some of Adrian's prior releases in terms of conversion pegs. If you've been on this channel for a while, you've noticed that I constantly actually am promoting AFFM Customs Adrian stuff on here, because he makes a lot of conversion pegs, accessories, effects for the community, and all at a pretty decent price. You know, 5 pegs for, or 5 or 6 pegs for like $5. You know, you can't beat that. And they're actually really well made and really durable. So he can use a few of those pegs. It's not too hard to take the peg out of this neck, and you can use, you know, the Super Saiyan 3 peg that he had if you want to use the Super Saiyan 3 hair. And maybe you want to, you know, if you've got the prior releases and you don't want to pay for another Goku Black to get the Super Saiyan 3 look, there you go. You know, use one of your old figures and then just repaint it or something. I don't know. Save yourself some money. And if you want to do 2.0 head swaps, and again, you'll see that either in prior Instagram photos, or I've already put it like somewhere right there for you to go watch the short, which has some other head swaps. So it's very cool stuff. Gotta say, you know, if I had to rate it, which I typically don't do, I'd probably give it like 7.5 to 8 out of 10. It's really, really well done. And yeah, I think that is probably a good stopping point, because I'll keep rambling. But yeah, very excited to see what they do with some of their, you know, new products that they've already put up for pre-order, like Xeno Vegeta. That one, very looking forward to seeing how they handle the articulation. Again, like I pointed out earlier with the butterfly joints for this Goku Black, being that Xeno Vegeta, or even just Armor Vegeta in general, only has those shoulder straps to worry about, I'm very hopeful that their butterfly joint works a lot more prominently, you know, better on that figure with the armor, because there should be nothing really obstructing it, if that makes sense. But yeah, very good release here, and I can't wait to get the Kong33, which is the kit with the blade and stuff. And yeah, looking forward to seeing what the special variant looks in hand, and hopefully less than 2 months. But I will post about it if I see anything in terms of updates from 5K Toys and Facebook, or their, you know, Instagram profile, or just anything I see on Baidu or Weibo, which is their, you know, Chinese sites for Kong, etc. Anything I see, I always share it in the community tab, so be sure that's where you gotta check for news first. I don't always upload the videos just because, you know, work, life, whatever, but I always make sure I can upload what I can in community tabs to keep you updated. So with that all being said, I will catch you guys in the next video, which either should be another review or promoting some of Adrian's new pegs that he's released, or it will be a news video or discussion video, because there's been quite a bit of announcements tonight and throughout the last few days that I want to talk about. So catch you guys in the next video. Thank you guys for watching, and have a good one. Peace.